sponsoring a lot of those events.
Yeah. And then, so that's one side, right? Mm-hmm. Another side we have is thinking about sort of the psychological climate here, right? Mm-hmm. Thinking how our students feel around here. So many of you all, I know like Filipino has done this, you all do sort of career panels, right? Or leadership panels. Rose, you want to talk about sometimes alumni have come back to talk?
Yeah, we work with our retention, sometimes we work with our retention program, sometimes we host our own, but we'll bring back alumni that work in various fields to kind of, and we do a panel, but also we've done it in a format where it's like little clusters and they're working with the students, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Another component is thinking about history. I mean, you all are sort of the examples of that, right? Having an alumni association signals to the university that there are people that care throughout the generations. So your presence itself really helps with our campus climate. And as you all know, we're about to move into the centennial in 2019. I know this is thinking about how structurally the university thinks about diversity. Who is at the decision-making table around things? And we'll have something really exciting to share a little later about that. So I sort of want to talk to you all, let you all talk a little bit. Actually, Eric, do you want to introduce yourself?
What do you want me to say?
Who you are, what network you are from?
All right, hello everyone. My name is Eric Sanchez. I am Navajo, Mexican. I represent the American Indian Alumni of UCLA, and we've been going strong for about 15, 16 years. So it's great to be here, represent for my community.
So there's, mostly today, I sort of want to do some bragging around the groups, right? So there's 3 areas that I see you all working on, and I sort of want to share it out. Oh, Kareem. Oh, Kareem, hi. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kareem. I'm a PhD student in education. I'm working with Benny on a project that I think we're going to share with all of you around diversity, racism, and sexism on campus. So I look forward to talking with y'all.
So there's 3 areas that I feel most of the diversity alumni groups focus, right? 1 is recruitment. 2 is you develop future leaders. And 3, which I think we need a little bit more work on, so I'm going to put it out there, retention, right? So when we think about recruitment, I just wanted to brag a little bit about, actually all of y'all, so scholarships. Who out of the diversity alumni groups have a scholarship? Right? So actually with the new program, they're using it as a recruitment tool as well. So do any of you want to share some of the work that you do around scholarship? Gosh, I know you. You just got Nguyen, right?
Come on, Bobby.
Oh, me, I'm sorry. Well, in addition to overseeing a scholarship committee that will actually help us select who the qualified, deserving UCLA students are, we actually go out and do a lot of the fundraising as well. And we have a set goal in mind for by the end of this year, we're going to be in another tier and reach over, hopefully, $100,000. And within the past 2 months, we did a scholarship kickoff with, informal dinners, a lot of emails and phone calls. And within 2 months, we made around close to $7K, and we're just, we're on a momentum that hopefully will increase it even more. And right now, our endowment is at $76,000 the last time we checked. But we really want to get to that $100,000 this year, because also then our name goes onto another wall, because we'll be on another level on the alumni wall for scholarship endowments.
Hey, David, do you want to share your efforts?
Ours is, well, we're a little different, because I don't know, Patricia, has our name even got on the wall yet?
We're working on it.
Okay.
You know how the
You
university
guys need
works.
your own wall.
Yeah. University works.
Currently, right now, we give out usually somewhere around $350,000 a year in scholarships right now. We like to tell the university that we actually discriminate. We give our scholarship to black folks. So we're not listening to 209. Right now, we give a lot of events, receptions each year to raise those funds. We have, well, in February of 2016, we're actually going to be launching our endowment plan. Our endowment plan is our goal to raise $20 million. It will be in February 2016. Y'all all be hearing about it. We're working on it right now. Because one of the things it's hard to do, of course, is to keep raising $350,000 per year. It's real difficult, to keep it going. But we've been able to increase, at least be a part of the reason that we've been increasing the number of African American students that have been actually coming and putting an application in UCLA. So those are the things that we're doing.
And it's almost covering giving something to every single Black student. Is
Not
the aim,
yet, we
right?
want to
Is
get
the
there.
aim.
We used to be there in the past where we actually gave every Black student who wasn't on an athletic scholarship some type of funds. And we want to get back to that. Right now at 350, that's not enough because the number of students have increased. You know, before when they were only letting in, 6 or 7, it was kind of easy.
Such a sad.
Can I the range of your scholarship awards?
Okay, the range from our scholarships award are anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000, and it depends on the tier group. If you're a tier 1, I don't know how many are familiar with UCLA's tier program, but if you're tier 1, we'll give you $10,000. And then there's other people who match funds and stuff for that.
The other area we sort of work on recruitment, but it's more so thinking about how do we usher our students into a community is send-offs. Does any networks do send-offs at this point? Shannon Islands, do you send off? West Side, do send off? APA?
Yeah, our first one, yeah.
APA, can I ask you to share your experiences with send-off? So we actually don't really have a network in San Gabriel Valley,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, we used to do a regular picnic every summer anyway. And it was one of our family events. Like a lot of our events are necessarily geared towards families. That was one of them. But then this year we were approached to do it as an official Bruins send-off for the San Gabriel Valley since we do our event out there anyway. And it was great because it drew out, I want to say 80% of the people there never came to an AP UCLA event before. And it drew a lot of I think Southeast came as well to that. A lot of Southeast folks were there, which is great. And the students all seem to interact and get along very well. And I feel like in terms of really trying to create that pipeline early on, that kind of event is really good because the students met each other. They seem to bond really well. They're going to maintain those relationships throughout college, and they're going to remember, hopefully, that it was at the APA UCLA send-off event that happened. So, I feel like creating those feelings early on really helps to make them want to come back and give back because they see the value that kind of thing was created. And it was completely free for everyone who participated. We got $1,000 support, which was fantastic. So it really helped to make it a spectacular event for us.
So yeah, this is actually a great place for regional with diversity to match up. So if for folks not familiar with the send-off, basically what we do is we invite all admitted students that are going to attend to come and spend some time with you all in the summer before they come to UCLA. So you can be sort of that nice first warm welcome before they hit campus.
You don't all have to happen on the same day?
No, they don't. They're just throughout the summer. Yeah. The other one area is yield events. So you all have heard of Bruin Day. What I like to tell historically is our groups of color have done this way before Bruin Day. And so there's Black by Popular Demand, La Raza Weekend, Pride Admit Weekend, which is brand new. It's in year 2 to recruit our LGBT students, Southeast Asian Admit, and American Indian Pacific Islander Weekend. So actually I was going to see if Yadi wants to share how Latino got involved with yield, because there's other areas that you all can get involved. Basically, we're trying to get students to SIR, right? Not lose them to Berkeley, not lose them to Stanford, make them come here. So do you want to share what Latino did with Mecha?
So I'll have to say that the students are really into this program, and they're the ones that reached out to us to participate with the yield event. And so the Latino groups, Mecha, has this really comprehensive thing where they have the students here for an entire weekend. I was actually surprised to hear that instead of one day. And for one of the dinners and one of the evenings, alumni were invited to come and have maybe 1 or 2 alumni per table. And I think that there were maybe 350 potential students at that dinner, and we had about 50 alumni. And I'll say that it makes a huge difference because one of the big, and I'm sure you all know this, that one of the big questions that potential students have is, when I get to UCLA, are there going to be people that look like me, and what kind of support and network am I going to have? And even though it was put on by Mecha, one of the great things is that, we had Latino alumni just in general. We had professors, we had people from, fraternity groups and things like that. And one thing that I really tried to, impart on the students, on the potential students, is that no matter where on campus they go, they will have a sense of community. There's a lot of support for them on campus, and I think that they walked away feeling that, you know, at least UCLA is trying really, really hard to make sure that these students are going to have whatever assistance we can provide to make sure that they succeed while they're here.
And Latino Alumni was sort of our pilot last year. We did some cold calling out on our emails, and we got almost 75 Latino alumni to volunteer, and about 50 were interspersed through the weekends through panels or keynotes or being alumni dinner hosts. I will say this, our team sits with all of these because they happen all in one day, one for transfers and one for first years. Jozen is the point person that meets with every single mother organization that does one of these events. And basically what we do is help facilitate that they connect with you. My goal in 5 years is that you all have some sort of involvement in one Yield weekend that is a counterpart to your cultural group or identity group. So that's what
Maybe
we're
this
doing.
is a conversation for a little bit on the side, but when Julie was talking about, you know, how now starting this summer, everybody will be part of the Alumni Association, if we can be a part of, you know, either Alumni Day or something where, you know, all the alumni students, recent alumni new alumni can be aware of the alumni associations that are there for them.
And you offered me a perfect transition because I was going to have Lambda. The other place that we have a touch point, so you have send-offs at the beginning, right? And then you have Yield events during the year, which is a great chance to work with the current students as well as help recruit students. And at the end, we also have a lot of identity-based graduations. Here, who participated in identity-based? Like RASA grad or like APC grad, Samahang, you know, P grad, all that stuff. And so one group that I know has really held true to that for the test of time is actually Lambda. And they're part of Lavender graduation. So I can talk about, do you all want to talk about Lavender grad?
Patricia, can I just add one thing real quick? Maybe already said this, but Yadi, to the point that you raised, during Alumni Day, we're actually going to have a track that if you want to schedule some meetings, you can.
Oh, that's great.
So.
Fantastic.
So Lambda, they've been part of what is called Lavender graduation for a very long time, and they serve as the keynote. And what I love about what they do is they are able to hand them over something, right? So I think it's either a cord? It's a sash, right? A rainbow? No, it's a cord, a lavender cord. And then what I love about what they do after that is they don't stop there. 2 weeks after that, they host a social, right, for our young alumni to get to meet Lambda after they leave campus. So it's a great pipeline tool that I've seen, and it's been growing every year to year. That's the only way we have actually any data on our LGBT alumni, because that's something that we don't collect demographically. So it's pivotal that we are there, because there's no box to check, right, in your forms and stuff like that. Anything else you want to share on that one? The other one where we do some community-based events, I actually wanted Eric to share a little bit about powwow, and actually miss powwow.
Yeah, so every year, the UCLA American Indian Student Association puts on a powwow. This will be happening in May, the first week of May. And we partnered up with the students to create the Miss UCLA Powwow Princess pageant. So a lot of powwows, they have princess pageants, and basically what this person does, other than the gay crown, but it's in UCLA colors, yeah, it's all blinged out. But most important is that this person's going to help to represent our community here on campus, UCLA, to other places throughout the country, really, and help in many ways is our ambassador to the community, and also helps to recruit, spread the word about UCLA, the opportunities that are here, and hopefully folks will feel that they have someone to connect to. And so we help to collaborate with Alumni Affairs and try to create like a little scholarship for this this person, because there's a lot of traveling they have to do, a lot of expenses, and this is our way of trying to support them.
This amazing woman gets $1,000 for winning, but she has to travel to 20 different powwows across the nation, right? So, and what's also really awesome about this is they actually don't have to be a UCLA person. They're just going to represent UCLA. So we've had community college students, we've had grad students come and pretty much represent UCLA at all these community gatherings. It's one of our best recruitment tools in the American Indian community. So we actually trialed something called Spark, if you haven't heard. It's sort of our own crowdsourced funding that's made within our house. And so we try to raise money to get travel money for this poor woman that has to go to 20 things. She can't even use her scholarship for school, right? So it's all going to gas money and lodging. So that's one campaign that we've been trying to push. So yeah, so those are some of the few things that we wanted to share, and you know the folks that are in this room, so feel free to connect with folks. I actually want to switch over some time and sort of think about what's happening right now that you all can get involved in. And one is, given all sort of the campus kind of issues that have been happening, we actually have a new position that's coming to campus called the Vice Chancellor of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And for all the skeptics in the room, yes, it sounds like a role where people are walking on water, but it's something that I think symbolically is really important for us to have. And so their search is actually open for you to come and attend, to have your input. And what I would love for you all to do is actually show numbers and face, and actually ask the questions that this person needs to hear about our campus climate. I'm going to send around something a little bit later, but we have 4 dates. One date already passed. And unfortunately, there was no one in the open forum. There was maybe like 20 out of this whole campus. So if you know students or staff or faculty that care about these issues, they need to come out. Tony, do you want to share? Because Tony actually attended the last one.
Well, I was just thinking that there's so much to be said about that particular event and actually diversity and inclusion within the university. Okay. So I'll try to briefly address all of that.
Let's leave the 3 questions that popped out. Because that one's a little specific to the context. But yeah, okay.
I'm sorry?
Some of the questions that they were asking.
Well, I mean, okay, so let me go through because I have a plan. And the plan is this. We are all concerned about diversity and inclusion, okay? And we all work strenuously to fortify our alumni associations, okay? However, we can do a lot more by actually forming a diversity collective of people within this group. We can become the prototype of what diversity is. We can also become more impactful because we formed a collective. Now, when we go to the open forum, okay, we're not just there as fragmented individual groups. We're there as a collective group, giving an example of what diversity looks like, not only to the university, but also to the students. Okay. A lot of the questions, I was there with Mr. Franklin too, okay. If you don't know this gentleman, he has a great deal of background and is a scholar, a published scholar, in regards to diversity and inclusion. He is one of the provosts at Denver University.
He's a chief diversity officer at University of Denver.
And so, because of the small group that was there, okay, there were questions that were being asked of him that didn't necessarily reflect diversity. They actually dealt with special interest, okay? And that's because the people who were really concerned about diversity were not there, okay? I thought that he was very poised in how he handled the questions because he wants to make sure that everyone here has a voice and that voice is heard, okay? So there were people that were actually trying to get him to take a position where he would eliminate the voice of certain groups, okay? Again, this could only happen because there was only so many people there. And the people that were there were more interested in special interest concerns than they were in regards to diversity and inclusion. Now, there were some that were interested in diversity and inclusion. I think he gave a good overview of that. But again, I think that if we form a collective, we can be the prototype of what diversity and inclusion looks like. We can't preach it without engaging and embracing each other. And through that engaging each other and embracing each other, we can collectively show up at these type of events and have a more impactful voice. Okay, so I would just urge all of us to take advantage of this, because once the position goes into effect, and it will go into effect, if it takes a posture that we don't necessarily agree with or feel comfortable with, okay, we don't have any sort of recourse because we weren't involved in the process, okay? So we have to become involved in that process, I believe. It is, and I know, believe me, I know it's hard because there's so much work we're doing internally, okay? But this position could make a lot of change. It could make a lot of change, or it could be a figurehead position if we allow it to be. We actually have to be proactively at the forefront of this, which again is just my opinion. But again, diversity, we don't want this to be, we don't want this position to just be a position that placates different people without any substantial substance behind it. Okay, so again, we need to question all of the candidates. I would think that our different organizations could do this actually individually or collectively, but at the end of the process, actually develop a letter of endorsement for the candidate that you thought best suited for diversity and inclusion, okay? And again, you can do that individually through your groups, but we can also get together and collectively do that. And again, what it shows is that we're being proactively involved in this process, okay? Not from a reactionary standpoint, but proactively involved in it, okay? So this is a room full of leaders. I think we should lead.
There were like no questions asked about LGBT. There's no questions asked about disability. There's no questions asked about a lot of things. And for a whole campus to have a room that barely had 30 people in there, it was sort of mortifying for me. I will say we have been proactive too. And so it was actually a fight to make the open forum open to alumni, right? So we just got that. So I just want to tell you now, the dates will be going around, but the next one is February 4th and 5th, 9th and 10th, 12th and 13th. Unfortunately, it's during the 9 to 5 hour. If you really have an issue with paying for parking, please let me know. I'll try to make my best to make that get covered. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, my issue is not with the parking between 9 and 5, it's actually just being able to go 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And I mean, I surveyed our entire board, right, to try to go with it. We're all coming across the same issue. I mean, unless you're really flexible with the schedule not working. I mean, is there any kind of opportunity to either do like something web-based or like after hours, maybe just for alumni, whether it's like more informal or something, we can set that up?
Like 6 o'clock or after.
So we're gonna share something else.
Yeah.
I have another point about this. The other thing might be, for those that can, maybe we need to start taking notes or, you know, something like that to share with others around sort of sentiments and having that conversation post, because I know the 9 to 5 is so hard. But not only did we work on the open forum component, we're actually have a very exciting piece of news to share because our Alumni Association Board thought this was a concern too. And so they recently, with Julie's help, asked for something that I'm going to share in a bit, but I want to actually bring up Sally because not only have you all been thinking about diversity, our Alumni Association has as well, so they just formed a new diversity task force, soon to be committee. So I'm going to have Sally come up and sort of share some of the things that we have available for them.
And I want to talk to the gentleman here because I didn't know, I'm sure the alumni board did not even know there was a diversity committee. There was no mention of it when I joined the board. And again,
I'll speak to my publicist.
Thank you. I'll pass these around, take one of each of these. One is pages 1 and 2 and the other is page 3. The Alumni Association Board is one that I joined 3 years ago, went through the whole recruitment, whatever the nominations process. I currently sit on the nominations board and I encourage you, I think in the folder. One way is, the gentleman here, Tony, said, if we form a collective, numbers speak. And if you don't accept no, you will be heard. And one of the exciting things Patricia was alluding to, in addition to the fact that the board recently formed this task force committee around diversity, my co-chair, Ruthie Katana, I don't know, many of you might know her, Ruthie and I are co-chairs of the committee, and we heard about a VC position for media. And we said, we want to be at that table. And they said, it's already set, the train has left the station. We said, okay, what do we need to do to get there? So along with the partnership with Julie and Patricia, we did what we needed to do, and we got a seat at that table.
So I did 16 interviews throughout the day. We are off the shoot. We are the most intimate interview that we have with diversity. So your diversity task force has 1 hour that can ask whatever questions that they want of this person. So not only do we have the open forum arena, we also have the diversity task force. And the other reason why there might be questions like, how is that open? The one thing we do want to share about our Alumni Association, these folks are somewhat heavy hitters, right? So we have people like Tim McNeil, who is the diversity CDO of ABC TV, right? We have folks like Terry, who is athletic director of UC Davis, right? So we're trying to pull some of our, I hate to say it, but like high profile alumni to really sit with this person because it serves two roles. One, we're serious, and two, it's a recruitment tool. Any CDO that's going to come in and say, wow, the Alumni Association is actually really caring about diversity, I have another tool in my bucket as I do work here, it's important. Sorry.
So no, that's fine, Patricia, I'm fine. I want this to be a conversation. It's a little more interactive, so it's not just me talking at you all about this. But we are very serious as an Alumni Association board. I headed the governance committee for a year. I've been part of the nominations process committee task force to change the face of the alumni board composition because it was not reflective of our community, our alumni community. So it took a lot of work to push and change the bylaws, which was grueling, but that's my forte. I'm also a consultant. I work with a lot of nonprofits around their bylaws, becoming nonprofits, funding, how to increase your voice, and like that. So I'm kind of a bridge builder, and I think I shared with Michael earlier, when I was on campus back in the day, before many of your time, I was in the English department, and people would look at me and go, what are you doing in the English department? So I was battling the model minority, should we be in the math or science or something like that? No, I'm not there. But again, there are things around diversity that are very near and dear to the board members. And so this became something, we already have enough committees. We had so many things which all of you we're doing it too, but at the, the board level. So I encourage you, with that said, I encourage you, there's a form in the folder, if you all are interested, to send representatives from your leadership groups to the board, because we do have a voice. And I know you all have, what did Patricia tell me? You all probably have Jean's number on speed dial, so you can call him too. But again, it sometimes appears as a self-interest, like your group do. But if we come as a collective, or it's a voice of the alumni board, it has a little more substance. So, any questions for me? This is a newly formed group, so we just did it. We've been thinking about it for the past couple of years, though. So, yeah.
So how do we become more involved with this?
With the task force or the board?
With the task force, actually with both.
Okay, right now what's happening is the task force was just formed at our last retreat in the summer. And the governance committee is about to put together how the membership will be. I'm going to propose that it's open, especially to this group, so that each group here on campus has one or two representatives at this table. So that's what I'm going to do. So, anything else? And I encourage you that, as well as being part of the nominations process for the board. We always have 4 seats open for non-voting board members, or non-voting members to be part of this committee, so alumni are welcome. We ask for nominees from all over campus, and actually this year we have 2 from APA who will be sitting on the nominations committee and reviewing over usually 120 to 150 nominations. So this committee has a lot of work to do coming. So we fill new board member positions every year.
The other exciting thing is they don't only have representation during the VCO diversity search, they have access to every single dean search.
Yes.
Right, so any senior leadership position, there will be alumni representation in the interviews from moving on from now.
So, for example, oops, I got stuck on the chair. So the task force actually, sorry, we had a set of questions, so we, were proactive about our questions, so we knew we had 45 minutes. We wanted to make the most of our time with the candidate, and Dr. Tuitt was very, very impressive. And it was very to the point and, very, very, like, high caliber and well-published in the arena of diversity, so. So it comes, so it didn't come off as special interest groups, because our diversity committee is very diverse. And that, so, be available to everybody, since you all will have the opportunity to meet the candidates in open forum. So it should be full, I would think it's full disclosure. And so I'll bring it to my group, and I think that.
Right. The other thing I was going to suggest is, Tony, for example, if there are questions that you've already kind of thought about, and that you're suggesting that we all think about, like if you can maybe forward those along to the task force to make sure those get asked. Because I don't know if you're planning on attending every single session.
Well, I am planning.
But, okay,
well, I'm planning to. That's the plan. I don't.
Right.
I'm hoping to get there.
Right.
But that is a very good. That's a very good suggestion. Because one of the things I was thinking, one of the things that I thought should have been asked in the open forum that didn't get asked was if you could actually ask the candidates can they give an example of a particular diversity issue that they've had to address in the past and how they addressed it?
That was one of our questions.
Okay.
Yeah, we had one of our, we were trying to ask a set of questions of particular candidates with a little bit of variation to the theme based on the candidate's background, experiences, what part of the country they're from. So yes, and there's a question. Yes.
So this is a little specific to Lambda, but I think it probably applies to all. Collectively, I think we share a lot of the sort of feelings of being an outsider in certain groups, wondering where people like you are on campus and all of those things. As a fairly small group of individuals, how do you go about articulating concerns that are maybe very specific? So speaking from Lambda, issues regarding trans people, who, we're talking about gender identity and safety in restroom communal facilities and those types of things that even as a gay man, particularly one who's fairly heteronormative, I don't feel comfortable speaking to. And how do you go about representing those issues fully to the persons that you're advocating towards?
That's a really tough question because our questions are fairly broad, so that we're giving the candidate an opportunity to kind of share some of those things in terms of what stands out in their career and what didn't work in their career, based on the campuses that they've been on, and I'm sure they suffer from the same things we all do at this campus. But that's a very, yes, your question's very, very targeted and very specific.
And just to speak more broadly, even beyond these candidates, but when someone is installed, how you go about your position advocating for those issues where maybe there isn't somebody on that committee that can speak to those.
So that's something I'm actually working on right now for the onboarding of this person. Right? So we're in the interview process. The other place where, since we got that settled now, my team is now looking about how can alumni be part of the onboarding of the new person, right? So do they have access to the leaders that represent these voices? Can they have a meet and greet with this person to talk about those things? So that's still in the works right now.
I think that would be a great strategy to be more inclusive that way as well.
Thank you.
When is your task force?
I'm sorry?
Where and when does this task force meet?
We meet about once a month now, and well, actually last month we had several because we had a lot of logistics that we needed to deal with, just as a committee, in terms of kind of logistics that.
No, I'm asking when this meeting is.
When?
Yeah, when, where?
They haven't
set up.
Oh,
Yeah.
I share Landa's concerns about our community not being adequately represented on this task force. And for, again, how can you all represent us when we're not?
On our.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a good question, and this is our first
Yeah, no, okay.
foray, and that's why I'm gonna propose, because next year it will be open broader.